You are sitting at a funeral, the most solemn, most serious room you will ever be in. Someone says a few quiet words, and then out of nowhere, some weird neuron fires, and you feel it. That thing. That rising, unstoppable, absolutely catastrophic urge to laugh. You press your lips together, your shoulders start to shake, you stare very hard at the floor, and then the person next to you makes a tiny snort, and it is over. You have betrayed a human corpse in front of that corpse's family, because of nothing in particular. Why? Why does the human brain do this to you? Why does laughter happen at all? Why is it so contagious? And why does your own nervous system act like it barely got the memo? That is what this is about. Here is the thing nobody tells you about laughter. We have this enormous cultural story that laughter is about humor, jokes, wit, a well-timed punchline. But researchers who study laughter in the wild, as in people actually going out and recording laughter in the real world, found something genuinely weird. Most laughter has nothing to do with anything funny. Not a little less funny than we expect. Nothing funny. The laugh is doing something else entirely, and once you see what it is actually doing, you will hear every laugh around you differently for the rest of your life, including your own. Let's start with the strangest piece of evidence, because it sets everything up. There is a medical condition called a gelastic seizure. Gelastic means laughter, related, from the Greek word for laughter, and a gelastic seizure is exactly what it sounds like. The brain misfires and the patient laughs. Not because something is funny, not because of any conscious decision. They laugh the way your leg kicks when a doctor taps your knee. These seizures originate in the hypothalamus, deep in the brainstem and limbic system, some of the oldest, most primitive neural hardware the human brain has. That is the first clue. Laughter does not live in the part of your brain that reads, or plans for the future, or appreciates irony. It lives below all of that, in the ancient part, which immediately raises the question, what was it doing there before irony was invented? To answer that, you have to go back, not to early humans. Further, here is a fact that might rearrange something in your head. Chimpanzees laugh, not the way comedians laugh, slowly shaking their head at another comedian's bit, but genuinely, acoustically laugh. If you tickle a chimpanzee, and yes, researchers have done this, it is actually a documented scientific method. The chimp produces a rapid, panting vocalization. Ha 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 ha. Breathy, rhythmic, paired with an open-mouth play face. Gorillas do it, bonobos do it, orangutans do it. Researchers who study these vocalizations say the breath pattern is biologically homologous to human laughter. Homologous means it traces to the same ancestral origin. We share this with our ape cousins. The common ancestor of chimps and humans lived roughly 6 to 7 million years ago. So the laugh-like vocalization is at least that old. The critical question is, what was it for? And the answer, almost universally agreed on by researchers, is that it was a social play signal. I am playing this is not an attack. Whatever I am about to do to you with my teeth, it is fine. It is a real-time broadcast, a running audio flag that says, this is safe, we are okay. Keep going. That is what laughter started as. Not a response to humor, a signal that a potentially threatening interaction is actually safe. Now here is a fascinating piece of this puzzle. You cannot tickle yourself. Go ahead, try. The exact same motion that sends you into convulsions when someone else does it does nothing when you do it yourself. The reason for this comes from the cerebellum, which predicts the sensory consequences of your own movements. When you move your hand toward your own ribs, your cerebellum has already sent a signal that says die fide. I know that is coming, cancel the tickle response. Bite. It only works if it is unpredictable. It only works if it is coming from someone else, which is almost the definition of a social interaction. Tickling requires trust. You literally cannot be tickled by someone you are genuinely afraid of, because fear suppresses the play response, and infants start laughing from tickling months before they understand jokes. So the laugh circuit is wired in early, well before language, well before humor, and it is fundamentally about bodies and other people, not about punchlines. Now let's get into the wildest thing a researcher has ever done with a clipboard and a lot of patience. Robert Provine, a neuroscientist at the University of Maryland, spent years simply observing laughter. Not in a lab, in the world. He and his students would walk around malls, parks, social gatherings, anywhere people actually talk to each other. And they would just record when did laughter happen and why. over 1,200 laughter events. And here is what he found. Only about 10 to 20% of laughter followed anything that could be called a joke or a funny comment. The rest, laughter was punctuating ordinary sentences. I know, I saw that too. Ha. We should probably head out. I'll be right back. Nobody was doing stand-up. Nobody was being particularly witty. The laughter was just a social filler. Like a verbal nod, a confirmation signal. There was also a weird asymmetry. Speakers laughed more than listeners, not listeners more. The person talking laughed more often, which is strange if laughter is about reacting to something funny, but makes complete sense if laughter is a social lubricant that the speaker deploys to keep the interaction comfortable. Here is something that you have definitely experienced, but probably never thought about. Laughter is involuntarily contagious, not just in the sense that you might laugh if others do. In the sense that the sound of laughter activates your brain's auditory cortex before you have any say in the matter. Neuroimaging studies, where researchers played short recordings of sounds to people in brain scanners, found that laugh sounds triggered the premotor regions of the face, the areas that move your mouth and cheeks, before any conscious decision to smile or laugh occurred. Your brain literally begins preparing your face to laugh back, as a reflex, before you have processed whether anything is even funny. This is why laugh tracks on old sitcoms work. Not because you are being fooled into thinking something is funny. Your brainstem is just doing the old primate thing. Someone around me is laughing. This must be safe. Join in. It is a little bit embarrassing when you think about it. So if laughter is primarily a social signal, what is it doing for the group? Here is where it gets almost too tidy, in a good way. Robin Dunbar, the British anthropologist most famous for Dunbar's number, the idea that humans can only maintain about 150 close social relationships at once, proposed that laughter is a kind of fast-acting social grooming. In primates, physical grooming, picking through fur, does something chemically useful. It triggers the release of endorphins. Endorphins are the body's natural bonding chemicals. They are also natural painkillers. They make you feel safe and connected to whoever just groomed you. Grooming one primate at a time is fine when your group is 15 animals. But as groups got bigger in human evolution, you cannot groom 150 people. There are not enough hours in the day. Dunbar's research group tested the idea that laughter may have replaced grooming as a way to release endorphins in a group setting. They found that social laughter, laughing with others, did raise pain thresholds, which is one marker for endorphin activity, more than laughing alone at something amusing. So laughter may be a chemical hack, a way to bond with many people at once, in minutes, without having to pick bugs off all of them individually, which is polite of evolution, honestly. Now here is the part that flips the intuition completely. We tend to think humor causes laughter. Joke in, laugh out. But the evidence suggests the wiring ran the other way. The laughter circuit was already there. Old, deep, involuntary social, running on pant-breathing and play signals. Humor is the newer feature that learned to trigger that circuit. Think of it like a button that was already installed in the factory. And then your clever primate brain figured out it could press the button with a particular arrangement of words. Two of the leading theories of humor, the incongruity resolution theory and the benign violation theory, both describe humor as a signal that says something unexpected just happened and it is safe. Incongruity, the punchline breaks an expectation. Benign violation, it is technically wrong or threatening, but harmlessly so. Both are really just new ways of triggering the same ancient message, find an unexpected thing. But we are okay, which was the original function of pant laughter in a wrestling chimp. The joke is just a really efficient delivery mechanism for the old signal. Now we can finally come back to the funeral, the nervous laugh, the can't stop laughing loop, the giggle that arrives at the absolute worst moment. Here is why that happens. The laughter circuit in the brainstem fires in response to tension, relief, and the unexpected. Not just humor. Funerals have all three. You are under social tension. Someone says something slightly odd or touching. Your ancient nervous system tries to discharge that tension, the way it has discharged tension since before humans were humans. And then the cortex, the newer, polite, rule-following part of your brain, tries to suppress it, which makes the tension higher, which makes the circuit fire harder, which is why trying not to laugh often makes it much, much worse. The can't stop laughing loop is a fight between your ancient brainstem and your modern frontal lobe. And at funerals, The brainstem wins more often than anyone wants to admit. You have definitely heard that laughter is the best medicine, and there's something real here. But the full version is more interesting than the bumper sticker. Short-term laughter does reduce cortisol, the stress hormone. It does produce a measurable endorphin bump. It does briefly raise pain thresholds. These are real, replicated effects. But the stronger driver appears to be the social context. Laughing alone at something funny gives you a smaller version of the effect. Laughing with people gives you a significantly larger one. The medicine part is mostly the bonding part. The chemical payoff is highest when the signal is doing its original job, connecting you to others in the room. So the real version of the bumper sticker would be, social laughter is the best medicine, which is less pithy, but more accurate. Here is the evidence that finishes the argument. Laughter is universal. Every known human culture, across every continent, in every era of recorded history, laughs. The acoustic structure is similar enough across cultures that people can recognize laughter from other cultures as laughter, even without any shared language. And this is the one that really makes you think. Children who are born both blind and deaf still laugh. They have never heard laughter. They have never seen someone laugh. And yet they do it. This is not a learned behavior. It is not cultural. It is built in. The circuit was waiting. One last number, because it reframes everything neatly. You are roughly 30 times more likely to laugh in a social setting than when you are alone. 30 times when you watch something funny alone, you might smile. The same content in a group triggers a full laugh. It is not that the material got funnier. It is that the signal has an audience. And a signal with no audience is just noise. The laugh was always for the people in the room with you, even when you are in a room, alone. Think about that for a second. The next time you laugh until your eyes water at something stupid, some chaotic nothing that barely qualifies as a joke, what is actually happening is a 50-million-year-old primate play signal running through a deeply modern brain. Your hypothalamus is broadcasting "Fadi safe." We are safe at the people around you. The same way a young chimpanzee does when a game gets a little too rough. Laughter did not show up so we could appreciate good writing. It showed up so we could tell each other quickly, cheaply, and chemically that we are together. And we are okay. Every comedian who has ever worked a crowd, every group of friends that has an inside joke that has long stopped being funny, but still gets laughed at anyway. They are running the ancient wiring. The joke is just the excuse. The real payload was always the laugh itself. And the next time you laugh at a funeral, and you will, eventually just know that your brainstem is doing exactly what it was built to do. Keeping you connected. It is not rude. It is just really, really old. Stick around. There is a whole world of weird little human mysteries like this one, and we are just getting started.